Hi, I'm Jennifer Hobson-Plattner, and I am here for your midterm history review. This is for History Class 215 online, and we are going to go over your midterm review sheet. It is over chapters 1 through 15, and I have listed all the terms that should be covered. They're all the terms that are on the sides of your book, pulled out in the blue section. So you can see it right there. The terms. So you can use flashcards and go through chapters 1 through 15. Or there is a really cool tool online. I believe it's called quizme.com, and you can type in your definitions and it can quiz you, so you don't have to quiz yourself with flashcards. So I know my son actually uses that in college and he really loves it. So there are 250 terms, quite a few. So I would be sure that you cover all of them. That's the only thing you really have to do this week. I tried to make an easier discussion forum question, and really just studying for your midterm is what you really need to do. All right, so I'm just going to give you an overview of the midterm, then we'll go over some terms. And I'll probably hit pause in the middle. Just because I need to erase the board and put some other terms up. Okay, the midterm is worth 150 points, and it is divided into 3 parts. The matching is worth 60 points, and there are 30 matching questions, and they're all over your definitions or your terms. Short answer is the second part. Please don't be confused with short answer. Short answer here really means you'll be given 10 terms, 10, you will pick 5, okay, any 5 you wish, and what you'll do is you'll tell who, what, why, where, when, and how about these terms, and you'll need just a large paragraph. You need to tell everything you know about it, not just a sentence, that won't be enough, probably not even 2, but you would just need to tell everything you know about that particular term. Make sure you use complete sentences. So you'll only be choosing 5, and that section is worth 50 points, 10 points apiece. Then our essay, which I did a video on how to write a good essay, and I actually did an essay with you that you can actually use on the exam. You're welcome to use it. I did the pre-writing, we did it together, and then you would actually be writing it, but that's totally your choice. Okay. So the essay is worth 40 points, and you'll have a choice of 3 essays, and you'll pick one, and studying for that would be to pre-write and write a whole essay out. I would do that ahead of time. It would be a great way to be successful. Okay, so we're just going to go over some terms in your book, and make sure that you know some of them. I just picked out a few from each chapter. I believe this is chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe all the way up to 5. So we have some terms that we're going to talk about. All right. And the first term that we're going to talk about is the clan system. The clan system, obviously, it's living arrangement in which a tribe was divided into a number of large family groups. Obviously, with the Native American Indians, this is something that really pertained to their culture, something that we may not understand completely. Patrilineal. Patrilineal is right up here, and it also, you see, it almost looks like mother, reminds me of mother because it starts with an M. Also, matriarchy is one of our history words. Matriarchy and patrilineal both mean of the mother. Matrilineal is family arrangements in which children typically follow the clan of their mother, and married men move into the clan of their wives, most often seen in agriculture societies. Okay, also the opposite of that would be patrilineal, which would be the father's clan, and patriarchy, where the father, the grandfather, or brothers are pretty much in control of the family. Polytheistic, a belief system consisting of many deities. And then the opposite of that is monotheism, and that's what polytheistic would be. The Native American religion. They worship several different deities, and the monotheism would be what Christianity is considered. Islam also would be monotheistic because they worship Allah. Animistic is a belief system consisting of beliefs that are supernatural, beyond beings or souls inhabit all objects and govern their actions. Again, Native Americans, you can see that in their culture and religion. The Iroquois Confederacy, a group of northeastern tribes that joined to form a political and trading entity and later created an elaborate political system. So this confederacy was a loose confederacy of many Native American tribes that could come together, work together, and protect each other and help fight for each other in a time of need. All right, Islam. A modern religion that flourished throughout the world beginning in the 14th and 15th century. Its adherents are called Muslims. It really grew in the 14th, I'm sorry, didn't say 14th, yeah, in the 14th and 15th centuries. Something to really realize about Islam, and I think I'll probably show a video on this before the end of the year. Something that I really didn't know about it was that it actually is a very peaceful religion. There's only a small sect that is very militant and terrorist sect, and that's something that we often don't understand. But if you really read and really understand the basis of it, you will find that that is true. And a lot of people don't really realize that. And Muhammad actually was a very peaceful and kind-hearted man, much the same as Jesus in Christianity was very kind-hearted as well. So it's really very interesting to learn about. Okay, so I think we're going to skip ahead. You are responsible for all the terms. I'm just trying to hit certain ones. I think the next one is Christian humanism, a belief in the importance of the singular individual, as opposed to the institution of the church, characterized by optimism, curiosity, and emphasis on naturalism. So instead of the church having the authority and kind of the focus there, talking about the individual, and it is tied to enlightenment as well. Okay, so the next term we're going to study is conquistador. We're on chapter 2. And I'm looking. One of the Spanish noblemen who sailed to the New World with small armies to vanquish kingdoms. Okay, so that's, they had little armies and showed up in the New World, which is really controversial because it wasn't new to the Aztecs, the Incas, or the Native Americans. So calling it new sometimes can be misleading. I understand it was new to certain groups, but sometimes new was misconstrued into being able to be claimed, and it was unclaimable before. Right, the next word is encomienda, tribute, usually payable in gold or slaves, that was demanded of conquered Indian villages by conquistadors. Viceroy, a representative of the Spanish crown who governed conquered Indian villages. Okay, our next word, Jamestown. Jamestown was the first lasting English settlement. It was in 1607 in Virginia, and it's the one that lasted to the present day. There were others, Roanoke disappeared, so it wasn't continuous. All right. Looking for cash crop. I believe cash crop. Oh, I did not put cash crop on there. Agricultural product grown primarily for sale. Examples include sugar and tobacco. Also, the indentured servant was a system of labor where many Europeans, I believe it was English and Irish workers came over to America. Their passage was paid for by farmers, and they would work 4 to 7 years, which could be a very long time. 4 to 7 years on their plantations to repay the passage over. All right, we are at the Toleration Act. It was an act giving freedom to certain people, not to everyone, the freedom of religion and worship to anyone who accepted the divinity of Jesus Christ. So for Catholics and Protestants, they were both protected, and they could not be imprisoned for their faith. But that did not include anyone that believed anything else. So you could be imprisoned for your faith. And the reason for the Toleration Acts was because there was some persecution of Catholics as they came over. There was kind of that reverse persecution. Puritans and Separatists, a group of believers who wished to reform or purify the Church of England by removing its hierarchy, its emphasis on work as payment to God, so paying God back, its allowance of prayers for communal salvation, and its promotion of missions. Okay, and Separatists, a group of believers who wished to separate completely from the Church of England. They had given up on purifying it. They just believed it was too corrupt. Mayflower Compact, very interesting because they think it was kind of a precedent for democratic rule in Massachusetts, an agreement that bound each member of the separatist group in Plymouth to obey majority rule and to promise to defend one another from potential eviction. Set a precedent for democratic rule in Massachusetts. All right. Let's see how much farther we need to get to Navigation Acts. All right, the Navigation Acts were regulations that dictated where colonial producers could ship their goods, stipulated that colonists must transport their goods in English ships only, and listed a group of products that colonists were permitted to sell only to England. So they were really a list of controls. Colonialism sounds like a great idea until you really pick it apart and deconstruct it. And colonialism really is a parent country, and the colony would be kind of treated like a child, or citizens that weren't ready yet or not worthy of citizenship, or treated with equality. And that really is a problem because you have the core who has the power, and then often there's mistreatment and persecution or oppression for the colonies. And obviously that's why the Revolutionary War came, because Americans would not accept such treatment. Enumerated articles kind of goes hand in hand with the Navigation Acts. They are goods, tobacco, sugar, cotton, indigo listed in the Navigation Acts that colonists were permitted to sell only to England. All right, see how we're doing on time? Okay. Quakers, Protestants. They were actually Protestants who believed that God's will was directly transmitted to people through the inner light of divine knowledge that a person possesses within his or her being. This belief was in direct opposition to the Bible-centered Protestant mainstream, the Puritans and the Separatists mostly. Okay, Metacom's War is very interesting. It was the first large-scale conflict between the colonists and Native Americans waged in Plymouth, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. That was the name the Indians gave the war. The British colonists named it King Philip's War because they actually called this Wampanoag leader, Metacom, they called him King Philip, which is very interesting that they gave him a British name. So actually that's the same war. Slave codes. These are laws meant to govern the slave system of labor. These laws made it impossible for an African American to live as a free person. So we just stipulated so many things to keep them in the hierarchy of, the slave owner, slave, to keep them secure in that hierarchy so that they could not get out. All right, so diversified farming is really important because it changes when we talk about the market system later on. This is a system in which a single home or farm has various crops to sustain the household throughout the year. So they would have to make everything and be self-sufficient. So that's really very important because later they go into a single crop that they can sell, and then the market begins to boom. Okay. All right, I think we're going to be done for this section, only because of 15 minutes at a time, and I will see you in a minute for part